Okay, Miriam, where are we?
We are about to get to Rancho. No, we're getting there. I think we missed the turn.
We missed the turn.
Rancho Luna Lobos.
We missed the turn. That's not a good start. Hey y'all, today we are at Rancho Luna Lobos. We are going dog sledding. This episode is for my dog lovers and my nature lovers and my lovers' lovers. Rancho Luna Lobos is way more than just dog sledding. It is a dog sanctuary and a lifestyle of living in harmony and accordance with nature. As soon as we got there, they radioed for the founders, Dana and Fernando.
Chris is here to interview Fernando.
How you doing, brother Chris?
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having us.
Hi, I'm Dana.
Dana, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Dana. Nice to meet
cool.
you.
Yeah,
So
Chris,
cool.
what do you, I figured I'd let you kind of let me know what you
Yeah,
want.
I think if ride and then chat.
You want to ride and chat?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could, because Dana does like a bit of a presentation. I don't know if you wanted to go through it like a guest normally would.
Yes.
Well, welcome everybody. I'll go ahead and I'll give you guys the spiel then. We'll just kind of go from there. But welcome to the ranch. My name is Dana. You met my amazing husband Fernando. Of course, we have Andreas, Christian, Caleb, Garrett, Maddie, and Brooke took off today. So the amazing crew that's out here. The ranch is about 55 acres. You're going to go through a piece of that today. And everything you see here, my husband and I have built together. So our little Lego house took us 2 years and lots of YouTube to build, but we got it done. So we do live on site with our dogs. The trails were dug with mostly a pickaxe, a rake, and a shovel, which wasn't very fun. It took a really long time, but it comes in handy now. This is our doggy Pueblo. You'll hear us mention this throughout the tour. This is a multi-use spot. We have dogs that are just not sled dogs in here, some that are retired sled dogs, and some that are in transition to be a sled dog. We also do boarding and daycare here, so a lot happens in this spot. But these cottages are heated and furnished inside. They're made to be like little homes. They have air conditioning in the summer. But the number one most important thing, and this is really crucial, and it was all of my St. Bernard's requirements, they have Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, the whole shebang.
The dogs have it.
The dogs do.
Oh yeah, they got to keep up on their shows and movies too.
Yeah.
One of their favorite shows is actually Glee. They love to howl along to the music in Glee. They've watched all of Grey's Anatomy, Desperate Housewives. I had to turn off true crime. They were getting a little spicy. It's like, no more solving mysteries for you. Rolo's favorite is the cooking shows, huh? Is it cake? He knows. Huh, Mr. Rolo.
Rolo's epic.
He is. So we have a few different kinds of dogs. I'll point these guys out now. I'm going to point out Nanook. Hi, Nanook. That's Nanook. Nanook is one of our high-content wolf hybrids. So she is 85% wolf, and she's on the small side, but we've had her tested. She came back very high, but the wolf hybrid is becoming a really big problem. People see shows like Game of Thrones, they want these really cool looking dogs, and they don't realize they are not exactly dogs. They have a very high prey drive. Little critters tend to go missing around her. They also have to be socialized their entire lives, and if they're not careful, they can be alpha over you, which is very dangerous.
It was not that much snow.
Would you say the lack of snow is related to climate change?
You know, I don't know, there's some give and take, right? But honestly, Dana and I, we grew up in Park City, and we remember where, we always had feet of snow this time of year, and it seems like the older we get, the less and less and less we have. We'll get those spurts of good winters, but, it's becoming a rarity, and whether that is due to climate change, I don't know, it could be, right?
Does it frighten you, seeing as snow is your business?
Very much. In fact, so we believe that this ranch, we want it to be, it's a character in our life, in our philosophy, in our business. And so we're hoping that the kids will take it over, our children. And we tell them, we say, I don't care if you continue the tours or not, but we want you to keep the sanctuary alive. But one of the main ways we keep the sanctuary alive is by offering these sled dog tours. And so now we're having to shift our business plan, in a sense, to accommodate more of a dry land season rather than winter, if that makes sense. So we're almost like essentially leaving the winter business behind and shifting more towards something else with the dogs and become less dependent on the sleds, which is kind of a crazy thought.
You mentioned the ranch is a philosophy. So what is the philosophy?
I mean, for us, it's just kind of every dog living their best life, and that having the idea that these dogs will minister to our souls. You know, will definitely open. I don't know. I'm trying to think of how I'm going to say, because I'm going to give you my presentation. I'm going to give away some of it, but what do you think, babe?
I just think that, like, dog sledding to us is a work of art, and it's a lifestyle. It's not a hobby. It's, you know, it's truly embedded into our family, and our dogs are not circus animals, right? They're our family members, and this is an art form that we're allowing them to express themselves in an honest way, and then which in turn allows us to be honest with ourselves, and it's just this masterpiece, you know. That's kind of
To Dana and Francisco, dog sledding is not simply a sport, a hobby, or even just an activity, as much as it is a philosophy, a way of living in harmony with nature, with what is.
I can guarantee you, on this journey called life, we all go through moments where it gets really dark and really hard, and we're crying out, asking, is this ever going to get better? Am I ever going to catch a break? When are things going to turn around for me? Those are the most important moments in life. We're being molded, we're being shaped. Everything that's not supposed to be there is being burned away. Our character is forged in the dark times. That way, this is the other part of that guarantee, when those best moments in life come, and they always come, only then will you have the tools you need to succeed and thrive in the good times. It may not be what you plan for or hope for, but it will always be your best life. And because you've been through it, you can look at somebody else going through it and say, hang on, it's just a season. Good times are just around the corner. Don't lose hope. Don't lose faith. That's the real reason we do what we do. We are not so focused on a ride. Our rides are pretty epic, I'm not going to lie. But our goal is for you to come out and hear stories of our dogs, because when you're on tour with our dogs, I'm so sorry, it's not about you. It's about our dogs. They're living their best life, and they allow you to witness their art form for a few moments. And if you can practice the art of being a dog listener, these dogs will minister to your soul and teach you things that you can learn nowhere else. You will find healing in areas you didn't even know you needed it. You're looking at dogs who in their past life have been told, you're worthless, you have no potential, they've been beaten, they've been told they should be put down. Dogs, if they can overcome that and still be happy now and live their best life, there's no reason that we as people cannot overcome any odds that come our way. And they show us this possible all the time. He can have all 108 dogs out together, and they get along just fine. So if dogs can do that, maybe we can be a better part of the human pack and make a difference as a whole by being patient and kind with one another.
It's our peace garden. So this is where Dana may have mentioned this to you guys. Do you want to take a quick peek?
Yeah. So we like to spend a lot of time here one-on-one with the dogs and just make sure that they know that they're a part of a family and they're not just a number in the kennel, so to speak. So a lot of barbecues, a lot of fun little family outings with the children and the dogs and ourselves. Are you ready? Are you ready, Jenna? Montana, you ready?
How do you decide placement?
Placement, so you have your lead dogs, and then behind the lead dogs you have your swing dogs, behind them your team dogs, and then the one in the very back, that's your wheel dog position. So they're essentially responsible for steering the sled. Now, in terms of personalities and placement, is a huge game of compatibility for one, and two, it's like a chess game. Where your dog is going to benefit you most. So I know those two in the lead right now, phenomenal. One of the main qualities we look for in a lead dog is honestly is humility. What's funny is that I get this question all the time from our guests. Are the lead dogs the alpha? Like, are they the ones that are regulating the run? Are they like dominating other dogs? Like, no. The lead dogs, we want humility, right? They want to be able to lead well. They don't want to lead by example, not by force or just ego. We don't want that. And so that's what we look for in the lead dog. So that's very specific. And then if you go to the very back, the wheel dogs, they have to be the strongest, not for pulling forward, but actually for turning side to side. Everyone else just kind of fits together. Yeah. And then it flows. It gets a little more complicated when you start thinking about the racing world and where to place dogs. That gets a little more, you have to be more tedious. But for the tour teams, it's just everyone getting along.
And this barking is excitement.
They're stoked. Yeah, they're really excited. They're mad we're not moving right now.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's at this point that we finally went out on a ride. It was beautiful, y'all, magical, and the dogs were really having the time of their life. And at one point, Francisco stops at the top of the mountain to reveal the art of what is happening.
Good girl. You see that though? This is how the dogs are working in unison, but you have your mushers that are skating and working. A lot of people think that this sport involves just the dogs, but it's very much the mushers that are there as athletes helping every part of the way. I have 18 dogs on my race team, and every hill we come across, I am sprinting as long and as hard as I can just to help the team offset some weight. So, but look at that. That's the beauty of it. That's the painting. This whole mountainside is the canvas, and that's the artwork right there. Yeah, working in unison with these dogs. We can never control them. I say we never control the dogs. We have influence over them, and we have that relationship and that bond, and we work like one body. And that's a rarity nowadays with technology and the way our life is going, the human race, right? And it's very rare do we get those little doses. If you have a dog at home, you have that relationship. But when there's a big dog team there, it's a whole different level. It's hard to explain. I love it. Good job, amigos. Right off the bat, you'll notice that he doesn't have any eyes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Yeah, so we had him surgically removed, and his story is definitely one that's very, very inspiring. And I will tell you that when we're at the top. But this is Umberto.
Does he run?
He does.
Wow.
Yeah, he does. He's my guy. This one, just an incredible person. Talk about perseverance and overcoming obstacles. And this is his buddy Sushi. Yeah, Sushi. He's on my race team. Hi, Harley. You ready to run? He says, yeah, I'm ready.
Please tell me the story of the what's the dog's name? Umberto. Yeah, please tell me Umberto's story.
Yeah. So he, back, let's say in 2000, this was 2012 or so, 2013, we get this dog from a kennel in Wyoming. And as protocol goes with our ranch, every dog that comes into the program, onto the ranch, they always start out in the doggy pueblo. So that's the fenced off area you guys saw by the driveway. And that's kind of what we call like neutral ground. So dogs really aren't set up to compete for food or attention in any way. No one's aggressive. It's just very neutral. And so Umberto started off there. Now, mind you, at this point in time, you guys already saw him without his eyes. But when he was first introduced to the ranch, he did have his eyes. And right off the bat, I noticed that he was tripping over absolutely everything, right? The water buckets, the sagebrush, running into the cottages, tripping over other dogs that were taking a nap on the boardwalk. And I had my suspicions. I was like, this is a little weird. What's going on with this dog? And we have a veterinarian that comes on site twice a month in the winter to check on all the dogs, do a health check and vet check. And so anyway, she was up looking at the sled dogs in the sled dog yard. And when she was done with that, I had her come over and assess Umberto. And I didn't tell her anything because I kind of wanted her to come up with her own assessment. And as she was doing that, she's like, oh, okay, heart sounds good, legs feel good, lungs sound great. But getting to his eyes, he has a lens deformity going. And so if he can see shadows at best, right? So she says the kicker is we measure eye pressure in millimeters. So what's normal is like 15 to 20% millimeters. Umberto had 86% reading in one eye, and the other eye was reading at 68. So it's super high. So she's like, there's no doubt in my mind that he has migraines, like times 1,000 every day. This poor guy, but you wouldn't know because he was so happy, waggy tail, smile on his face. And she says, I asked her if there was any anti-inflammatories or medication we could give him, but she was just reassured me that they're just Band-Aids, right? That the real way we can fix this is through surgery, to have his eyes removed. It was a 4-week-long process. He had to be in a crate and only allowed to come out during the bathroom. But when all this was said and done, right, you think about those moments of him being like in darkness in a sense, right? Like now if he could see, which were at best the shadows, now he can't see anything. And then he's kept in a crate for his own good, right, for a little bit. When it was time for him to come out, we put him back in the doggy pueblo. And this is a part that still gets me to this day. Because I looked at him and I said, Umberto,
this area here is essentially like where you belong. This will be your life in a sense. Like, yes, you'll go on hikes. You'll get to hang out with us and eat good food and listen to Netflix, because the dogs have Netflix in those cottages, and hang out with buddies. Life will be great. Sort of limiting him into this metaphorical box, using the fence line as his perimeter and saying, this is it. But he had other plans. So when we'd go into the kennels and get the dogs ready in the fall, getting them fit for the winter, we'd set off on our trail all the way to the top, all the way around the ranch, and then the last leg of our loop, actually we'll loop around the doggy pueblo before going back into the kennels. And as I would approach the doggy pueblo, I would see in the distance there was one dog that was standing at the very top of the yard, pressed up against the fence, barking and howling because he felt like he was left behind. He was excited that we were like running past him, and he'd run alongside us as long as the fence would allow him to before being cut off, right? Because he wasn't allowed to go any further. He was in the yard and we were around the trail. I'd say after about the first, fifth, sixth, seventh time, I didn't think much of it. But after 15, 20 times went by, I started talking to Dana about it. I said, this is so weird that he does this. And she looked at me and kind of laughed and said, no, you only hear him when you're coming around. But he hears you hooking up the dogs in the kennels, and he's going nuts even then, right? So she begged me. She was trying to advocate for him. Like, there has to be a way we can work with Humberto. And so what I decided to do was I said, if he wants to master the trail, he has to master the yard. Little baby steps. So we'd hook him on collar to collar for an hour a day with a friend. We had to train a dog to be a seeing eye buddy. So they learned to navigate the yard as one dog. It was a disaster at first, but within 3 weeks, they got it down and they nailed it. Jumping over the same brush, moving over the same water bucket, and avoiding the dogs that were napping on the boardwalk. So we took him, moved him down to the gang line, and like I mentioned the positions before, the dogs in the back are your wheel dogs, your team dogs, your swing dogs, and then finally in the very front you have your lead dogs. So 4 different positions, 2 dogs per position. He started out in the very back in the wheel position. He taught himself to feel the edge of the trail and press himself against his buddy, and he could navigate where he wanted to go. Now, the one most important thing, like I mentioned before, we can't teach these dogs passion and drive. He has a ton of it. Like, he is so deafening. We were just talking about the need for ear protection when we're in the kennels. He is so loud. He's so deafening because he's so excited to run. And that was the most important ingredient. Needless to say, you guys, when he was running in the wheel position, he taught himself to feel the edge of the trail. He no longer needed his buddy. He outran his buddy and moved up a position to the team position. He did so good in team, he moved up to the swing position right behind the lead dogs. And I said, oh my gosh, Humberto, like, here I was telling you to hang out in the dog sled yard, or the doggy pueblo with the St. Bernards. I was essentially telling him, don't soar with the eagles, hang out with the turkeys, you know? Nothing against the St. Bernards, but they're not active, right? And what was interesting is that when I would call commands, G and Ha for right and left, he started catching those commands first and making the turn before the lead dogs. And I said, wow, maybe if I put him with the right lead dog, he himself can lead. And so that's exactly what I did. And like I mentioned before, humility being the most important quality. Fox was his trainer. This exemplified that trait of humility and taught him everything he needed to know. So now that blind dog you guys met in the yard is actually a phenomenal lead dog. Wow. We have in our county. We have 5 different trails around Park City, and he can lead at every single one of them. Whenever we get asked about him and about his story, I've actually pinned on our social media at the very top of my page just a short clip of one of many runs that he's done in lead. So it's a very short, like 15-second film, but it just shows everything he can do and what he's capable of.
Why don't you say right and left?
The G and Ha came from the prospecting times. The miners, they used the G and Ha with their mules, right? And it's just, and then when the snow came, when they were in Alaska, of course, in the late 1800s, they couldn't use their mules. They had to resort to the dog teams, and so they would taught their lead dogs G and Ha. And it's been in the sled dog world ever since.
Universally.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah. Now, the word mush is not really used by mushers anymore, by dog drivers. It's like what everyone else says is mushing, right? Wow, that's so cool. But that actually came from the French word marcher, which means to march on. And so, yeah, but anyway, there's a little piece of trivia you guys can share at the dinner table. Yeah.
You have 108 dogs here.
Yeah.
At most, what have you had, and what do you like to be at?
Oh, okay. 108 dogs right now. This is about, I think the most we've had is 112. And my sweet spot, I would say, is about 90, 85 to 90.
And you see 108 dogs every day?
108 dogs every day, yeah. A lot of work. I work 12 to 16 hours a day, easy. Yeah.
That's wild. And you have 4 kids. And, 5 kids and a wife.
Yeah.
What? Wow. What opened the door for sledding?
You know what's funny is I've been racing since I was a kid, and I think this has always been a dream and a passion of mine. There's 2 things to this. I've always wanted to do it. Running along that avenue, I come from a very long line of vaqueros, Mexican cowboys, and my family still has family land and ranch land down there. But the way my great-grandfather would train horses was very unorthodox for that time period, because it was very what we see and explain now as like a horse whisperer and a horseman. And that was very unusual for back in the day. And so I kind of wanted to keep that in some way, of course, with dogs. But I went to school for physical therapy, sports medicine, and I ended up cleaning dog poop for a living. But it's funny because I'm able to now sort of be at a point where I'm proud and just excited about what I do. And when I wake up in the morning, even if I don't feel good, I'm excited about what I get to do. That's one end of it. The other end of it too is dog sledding can be seen in such a gray light, right? Like a lot of people are under this misconceived notion that dogs are forced to run, like when they're out, like as if I'm standing there with a whip and like pull me around, and there's just miseducation there. And our job as a family, as a kennel, is to bring light to it and show like, no, like these dogs, as humans, we need stimulation, whether it's artwork or sports. These dogs need an activity, and we're there to help them. So we're also trying to share the positive light that our sport has, and we're sharing it with the world.
So these dogs are very happy, and because you know that dogs need activity, are you saying dogs should not be house pets?
No, dogs definitely. I think it comes with the breed, right? Like my St. Bernards, I can't expect them to get out and run on my race team because it's just too fast. And, they're great. They just want to lounge around. But I think we live in a society where more than ever we see dogs more human-like, and there's nothing wrong with it. I love that. But I think we still have to find that middle ground of what makes my dog thrive, right? And what can I do to help them? And I think I might have mentioned this before, but with the Huskies in particular, the Alaskan Huskies, it's a relationship. Right, there's give and take. Like I'll never tell anyone that I have control over my team. I have influence over them. So it's a partnership. I'm really working with them. I can't force them to run, but I'm allowing them to express themselves in an honest, artistic way, and I just get to be a part of it. And I want to show people that. Right, I want to show them that this is what this breed is capable of, versus maybe a Yorkie. Yeah, maybe they stay inside and come out for little doses, of time.
You come from a line of Mexican vaqueros. Does race play a role in this world? Are you one of the only sort of brown Mexican people you've met, all around the world where you're sledding?
It's funny. I've been as far north as Sweden, up in Canada. This year we're going to go up to Alaska. And I'm, as far as I know, I'm the only Hispanic Latino out there that's this competitive in the circuit, which brings obviously a tremendous wave of pride and responsibility in a sense, but also I just sort of want to keep up the momentum my family's always had with the horses, but with the dogs, and sort of maintain that pure, like, I don't know, that pure essence of what our family is, right? Working with animals, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
So you said you would love your children to ride, to mush, to lead, but you said more importantly you want them to maintain the sanctuary. And so is that more important to you now, is rehabilitating dogs or giving dogs purpose?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chris. Honestly, I have this conversation all the time with my wife. I love the racing. I do. It's always something I've been passionate about since I was a kid. And I used to identify that more like I was a racer. But it's interesting seeing the therapy with these dogs, and these dogs would be euthanized, and see them overturn that. And now they're being chosen as camp buddies for our kids' summer camps, and kids loving on them. Like, that's the artwork, and that's what's so important. So we raise our children to show that, because if they can show kindness to dogs that were aggressive but now have worked through their trauma, why can't we accept each other, the human pack? Not for what we've done in the past, but what we're trying to do to improve, right? Why can't we accept that? And that's the angle that I want to raise my children and all the kids that come to camp. We do a lot of life lessons in that sense. And so more and more I talk to my wife, like, I could totally do away with racing and be 100% okay. What really gets me is working with these dogs and helping them. And what I really want for our children to do is keep the land. If they don't want to tour, awesome. They have their own career and doing great, but please keep a place of sanctuary and healing for dogs that need it. That's one thing I will ask of them, right? And if not, then maybe I'll find one of my interns or a apprentice to do it. I don't know, but that's kind of the goal.
People can adopt dogs from you. How does that process work?
It just depends. Dogs that aren't as active, we look for a good active home style. So if you do want to, adopt one of these guys, we ask that, there's a routine, there's a morning routine, afternoon routine, and if it doesn't work out, they come back to us, right? There's a contract signed, and when we're pretty picky on who we rehome dogs to. So we just want to get to know that individual and know that they'll provide a good home for the dogs.
I know there isn't a 3 things you can do, but if you could say 3 things that you could do to help train a dog, right? Like, we have a dog, and we sometimes just don't know what to do, and I know you have the hands-off approach, and somehow when they need to be demoted to the middle, and that sort of makes them feel bad. They miss the front. Or your wife was telling us this incredible story about a dog who makes other dogs submissive and lays on top of them until they learn their lesson. What can you tell a normal person at home who's like, I don't know what to do? How do you train a dog?
Consistency is your best weapon. Consistency, patience, and above all, love, right? If they're not doing what you want them to, or what you're asking them to do, just hang up the leash, as I say, or hang up the harness for the day. Visit the next day, right? But as long as you have consistency, patience, and love, you'll always win. Yeah.
How much of your training is food motivated?
Actually, none of it is food motivated. The running is their motivation. They see their running as a treat. Yeah, which is crazy. But with that being said, what makes a good athlete is the ability to run fast, sleep well, and eat like a pig. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. We want them to consume their food, like shark attack it. Yeah.
How much money are you spending monthly on food?
Oh my God. It could pay someone a very nice salary. Yeah, yearly. Yeah. I would say, think about 3,000 pounds of kibble a month. That's just the kibble. And then you add in roughly 1,000 to 1,200 pounds of meat a month. And then all their supplements, because these guys are like Olympic athletes. They need protein shakes in the morning, their doggy Gatorades, digestive tract probiotics. And then that's not including doggy chiropractors, massage therapists. These guys get aligned, believe it or not. They get aligned by doggy chiropractors, massage therapy. So anyway, when it's all said and done, it pays someone a very nice salary. Yeah, that's my most expensive. Yeah.
How is 3,000 pounds a month of kibble being delivered here?
We pick it up in our flatbed truck every month. Yeah, we found a great distributor that gives us the food we need, and then we just bring it up to the ranch. And it's one thing, everything we make from our kennels goes right back into the dogs and their care, so they're really well taken care of. And my wife and I, we live a pretty frugal life, so if anything were to happen, like like when COVID hit, we were good for a few years, and so we could always keep the dogs healthy. But one of the things we're really trying to get is a barn. We're going to try to build up a barn, and so we can bring at least maybe 9,000 pallets of food, and so we don't have to rush down to Salt Lake all the time
How do people go for a ride? How do they engage with you? I don't know, maybe someone listening even wants to mush. Like, what's the process?
To get in contact with me? Yeah. So we have social medias, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Trying my best. I have people that help me with that, but
You might have to spend some of that 3,000 pounds kibble money on a social media person.
yeah, exactly. You take some time off my plate with that. So social media, then our website, lunalobos.com, and we offer a dog sled school too. So if there are people that are interested, we like to show them how to start from the very, very bottom, like scraps, and how to build not necessarily a big team, but that better relationship with them and their dog.
There is a phrase for dogs, man's best friend. Do you like this phrase? Are you in agreement, or you're like, there's a better phrase?
Man's best friend is a good phrase. Yeah, I am no philosopher in any way, but I definitely agree with that for sure. Yeah.
Any last words?
I will say, given Humberto's story, remember that whenever you feel down on yourself and you feel like there is no light at the end of the tunnel and you feel like giving up, like, remember that there is always light, right? It's always darkest before the dawn, and there's always balance to life. So that good, it will come, right? Like Humberto. And if you feel like, you can't do it, honestly, please think about the blind dog who leads teams in the mountains of Utah.
That's our time, y'all. Please go visit Rancho Luna Lobos. It is worth it. Trust me. Adopt one of their puppies, support them and their mission, and I will see you next week with another beautiful conversation. As always, like, share, subscribe, tell your homies and your loved ones, and shoot us an email with ideas and thoughts at brownenoughproductions@gmail.com. Again, brownenoughproductions@gmail.com. This episode was edited by Abu Kamara. Peace, blessings. I'll see you soon.